Mamas of California Broken Tired Edition is the latest television show on the RYM network, which can be found on Fire TV and Roku. The show follows two California mothers who live on opposite coasts of the Golden State. Raizza from Los Angeles and Niky from the Bay Area will challenge the glamorous perception of motherhood in California. Instead, the show will provide a real and unfiltered look at motherhood. Throughout the show, Raizza and Niky will discuss real-life topics relevant to moms everywhere. Let's take a look at the trailer.
Coming to RYM, the two mamas are here, and it's about to get real.
I may be quiet, but I certainly have opinions.
Silence is golden, but sometimes I just cannot.
The Real Mamas of California, Broke and Tired edition coming this April.
These are the Real Mamas of California. Please welcome Raizza and Niky to the hot seat. Ladies, it's nice to have you on today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So the first question I kind of want to ask, I know the audience would love to know, can you tell me a little about yourself? Each of you, go ahead and tell me a little about yourself.
I live in Northern California. I live with my husband, our baby daughter. She's a year and a half almost, and our doggy. And I work in the fashion industry. I went to UC Davis, and I got a degree in textiles and clothing design, and that's kind of where my career in fashion started. So I've been doing that ever since for about 16 17 years now. It's crazy, time flies. And now we're kind of trying to get into the world of podcasts together, so we're really excited about that.
Very cool.
So for myself, I was originally in the Bay Area. That's where I met Niky, and then I moved to LA trying to pursue a career here. I graduated from Pritam as a merchandiser, and basically my career took me to production management. And unfortunately, like, I got laid off, and I wanted to have like a redo. Ended up being in planning because I was always like intrigued with the numbers and the sales forecast. So basically like took a step down to get back up into management. So now I'm in demand planning and inventory. So now I'm here fully in LA. I love it here, and I want to raise my family here. So my son is basically almost the same age as Niky's daughter. They're basically like a week apart.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I'm engaged.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I love to bake. I actually have a little side business for myself going on. I love yoga, and I miss doing those things. Kind of don't have time for that right now, but I'm getting up to gear for that. And I wanted to try podcasts just because me and Niky have been relating on a lot of issues that we are not finding out there.
Very cool. How do you two know each other?
So I was already working for a company, a clothing company. It's actually Gymboree. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but it was Gymboree, and they set me up to train and help Niky come on board and get her all situated. And I would ask her to go get coffee with me, go down like to the cafe, and we kind of just maintained friendship there, even though we went to separate ways in different areas and fields of our career.
We definitely hit it off, and we're probably the only ones that have kept in touch since then, huh, Raizza? As close as we have, and
like consistently.
We have so many things in common, so that's great. We're so different, but we have so many things in common, and that's what I love about our friendship.
And I'm so excited for your ladies and your new show. I think it'll be very inspirational, and people are excited about it. What inspired you to create the Real Mamas of California?
So I was a little frustrated at the time. I was going through postpartum, and I kind of still am. And I would kind of reflect on conversations And sometimes I would be pissed off because I'm the kind of person that likes to be prepared. And no matter what preparation you have, you for motherhood and going through pregnancy, you can't really get ready for it. But when I would ask, moms or whatever, or what they went through, they would just be like, "It's hard. Just watch." So, but what made it hard?
Right.
But what is it about that made it hard? And that kind of just like ticked me off that, there's no real conversation of why that is. And so I found that with Nikki, and we're going through it. But oftentimes we derail talking about, reality shows and, catching up on that. So just reflecting on those conversations, it made me feel good. And I was like, okay, what if we talk about the glam of the reality shows, but to weed that out and have a conversation and put in information for moms that are that don't know what to do about certain things still, about career transitioning, and also young women out there to be prepared for motherhood, whether they're single or in relationships. Because I am surrounded by single moms that have like gone through divorce, and I would ask them how they did that, and then I would ask Nikki like, how are you doing? What are you doing for this? And even though she has a different environment than myself, because I don't have family here in LA, I always thought, okay, like how could we better gear up to be a mom in a career setting? So that's what I've kind of hoped to inspire others with our conversations.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Riza said that perfectly. I think on a personal level, I want to do this podcast because it's, something different. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone.
Mm.
I'm not typically a person who would do this, and a lot of people were surprised. Like, wow, like I'm excited to see where this goes. So that's kind of what it's about for me. It's trying something new.
How did you ladies get in contact with Vanessa? How did you get it onto the RYM network?
So my neighbor is a friend with Vanessa's friend, and he would often visit us, and we would hang out. And I was just mentioning that I was trying something new with Nikki, and we were looking for $30 microphones, and we were looking at how to edit things ourselves. And I was just like, I feel like this is something new for us that we could look forward to, and kind of escape from our 9 to 5, and maybe do it at 1 o'clock in the morning when we have time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mentioned it to him, and I actually, gave him a box of cookies and stuff. And I thought I would go see Vanessa to talk about my cookie business, because they had asked me to come to the studio. And that's how I basically met Vanessa.
You never know who you might run into in LA. I used to live in Los Angeles. That's the cool thing about LA, is you literally never know who you might run into. The show promises to offer an unfiltered look at motherhood. Now, there can be a lot of judgment in the world, especially on the internet. Are you ever worried that something that you say on the show might invite unwanted comments from like mom shamers?
Oh yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
think we've
I
definitely talked about this.
Mhm.
there's gonna be, I think, like a lot of comments in all areas, not just that, but like we are going through this as best as we can with the best judgment, and also unfiltered, meaning that we're going to be real in the experiences and not just be vague,
Mhm.
because there's like a lot of hardships that aren't really like talked about, that I wish, even like my sister, or even like um older colleagues that have told me it's just hard, that like I think should be talked about a little bit more, just so you're emotionally stable. And also it's financial, it's like the cost of living in California, and also being inspired by other cultures and the way they raise their families, that might help somebody else, because I'm not kind of looking into that, like their practices. So it's those kinds of filters. And, if there's any judgment, maybe it's probably because they're not a mother, or like they don't know what they're talking about. I don't know. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, we're all going through this. And I guess bring on the judgment, because maybe we'll go through that and it'll inspire us a little bit more.
Yeah, I think definitely we're going to be unfiltered, but maybe, we'll try to look at both sides of any, conversation that we have. And, there's going to be people that don't agree with it. And, we'd love to hear from our viewers on their thoughts. And that's going to be really important to us, hearing from the viewers, their opinions. But, we're going to try to relate to moms out there as best as we can. That's the whole point of this podcast.
Very cool.
We have already lined up so much content that you can't put it in 30 minutes. But we're so excited to have them all available.
It's hard to give advice to moms. That's one thing that we're well aware of. It's, the rule I think that I've heard is don't give advice unless it's asked for. So it's really tough.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard that too.
Also, I think we will have topics of discussion building around motherhood, not just how your child should behave or whatever. We can't say that for everybody. We're not experts,
Right.
But at least the other things that do matter, that kind of involve raising a kid. And that's your career, and delving into social media and the influence on moms, and even we talked about other moms that are influencers that kind of derailed from being a mom to being an influencer 100%. That kind of kind of scared us. So even us, we're like, okay, we have to limit our use of social media too, because our whole point is to be a good mom and to be a good parent. So that's what we project the show to be.
Has there ever been a time where your opinions on motherhood between the two of you differed greatly?
I can't say that I can think of an example, Raizza, but I feel like it's definitely going to come up on the podcast.
There is one that kind of sticks out to me, and that's kind of how we are feeding our babies differently, but or even how they're speaking. Nikki's daughter is so advanced, she could say words and things like that, and so it's what kind of practices is Niky doing? Whereas my son, he's still trying to say milk, and he says meh. And so it's kind of things like that we are seeing that the development areas are different, and so that's where the advice wouldn't come in handy so much, because you don't want to pressure that kid to do whatever Niky is doing if it's not helping. So it's kind of just let them lead the way. But at least seeing Niky's daughter progress so well gives me excitement and hope for my son to be there.
I've heard, I probably don't know this for sure, but I heard someone said that boys progress slower than girls.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. I think
yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and they're still progressing.
Yeah. So for you two, I know that you live in different areas of California, but what has been the most challenging part of doing a show like this?
I would say physically, definitely it's been challenging for me to be up here and for our network and Raizza to be down there. Being a new mom, it's not always and working, having a career, it's not always possible for me to make it down to LA. So, distance is a little bit of a bummer. I would love to be more involved in person. So that's been a bit of a challenge for me.
And for me, it's I wish she was physically here, because I think that one-on-one would be great. I hope one day I can do that. But also maybe timing, just because our schedule, with work and with our kids, and we have to align with their schedules sometimes. So it's there's all these parameters that we have to consider. But I think that's the great thing about Niky is we always make it work, our schedules. It's never a harsh thing, so we are trying to delve into like a schedule that works for us.
That works for
Yeah,
you.
definitely. I think that I've heard a lot of people say that, like, what they like about certain podcasts is that the co-hosts are like in a room together recording, and they can relate more on that level. So, we'll see how it goes. I feel like it's going to be great. We're going to make it work, but hopefully our viewers can relate to, us being in different locations and being busy moms, and just doing the best that we can. That's what this podcast is about.
So, what do you hope that viewers will take away from the show?
I hope that they find some sort of comfort outside of their, schedule when they do have that downtime, and that can relate to our humor and like the way we talk about things and like the subjects, and find it useful, and not just like, moms, but like older teenagers delving into like career, and like, or are curious about like motherhood, and if they're deciding like what to do, to help them, because it's expensive, so some, not that that should be a factor, but at least know what you're getting into to be more prepared. But also, what I initially like thought about too, what got me frustrated was I was starting to get into like the dark zones of like going into links on links on links, and then like disappearing into like Instagram for like information, where it kind of got to be lonely. So I hope that like our viewers will find solace in us, and continue to come to us for a little bit of time for themselves with coffee and wine or whatever, water, whatever. But that's basically my goal for our podcast.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the whole getting lost in the links, Riza. I've been there, and it's a lonely little place. So, like getting advice from a podcast and connecting, with the hosts, and us connecting with the viewers, that's going to be amazing. And I hope that our viewers just kind of get a sense of community from, connecting with us. That would be amazing. That's my hope for the podcast.
This question had come up a little bit earlier, but I'm going to ask it again in its actual form. Does this show only cater to mothers? And if not, what can childless people learn from the show?
I think we cater to beyond mothers. It's they say that you're never prepared for motherhood, and it's so true. No matter how much you learn, but like I feel personally, I really didn't know anything about becoming a mother before I became a mother, and I wish I had known a little bit more. So it can only help someone to know. We're hoping to cater to women, to college students, to single moms, to men. We want to be inclusive of everyone, and we're going to have topics, beyond motherhood that everyone can relate to.
Yeah, and also, like I said earlier, cater to everyone in a sense where it helps them decide on a few things. Like for me and Nikki, we were even wondering if the career we made was great for us, and we kind of got to a point where it was like, well, I didn't make it to this far just to make this far, So, we want to bring in different guests and we want to talk about like different careers that, and what they've done to help them get there. And not just talk about like our career paths and leading up to motherhood. So that's our goal. And also for men out there to relate to women if they don't understand reality shows, and like why women, or even their girls like it so much, that at least they know a little about it, just to have a conversation with their family or their significant other. So that's what we hope for.
Now, my last question, and I always ask everyone this, is there anything else that you would like to share that perhaps I did not touch on?
I guess I would want to say to our viewers, follow us on Instagram, give us a chance, download the RYM app on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. And I think You're going to really like us. We're having our trailer drop today, so check it out.
And also give us feedback and a little insight too on things that like you're interested in, or we might not know so much, but you are an expert at it. We'd love to hear from you. So I like I said, like it's a community, and it's a little different because we'll be talking about reality shows, like all the glitz and the glam, but you know, it's kind of delving into like real life situations, and that's what we want to hear, and to be involved with others amongst our little like one-on-one.
I'm so excited for you ladies.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
This is such an exciting
We're
opportunity.
very excited.
I just think
Not
it's so cool what the network is doing, having a show like this, which is so different from her fashion show and so
Right.
different from the Sporty Sibling podcast. I think that there's a lot of variety, and I really see a lot of
Yeah.
growth coming from this network. And I'm very excited for you ladies. And I think that your show is going to take off. So thank you for letting me interview you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bianca. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.